galaxy. Whole world move too slow for me. No gravity, no landing, no landing. Stars keep calling. I'm answering. Yo. Moon on chrome, I'm ghost riding. Black sky glow, I'm so sliding. Mine unlocked, no code needed. Truth hit hard, I still feel it. Night shift, no sleep, still living. Heartbeat sync with the solar system. Windows down, let the cold air in. I don't chase, I let life begin. Blue flame dance on the horizon. Whole squad froze, no one talking. One blink gone, no explanation. Some things don't need translation. Low gravity can't hold me. Head in another galaxy. Whole world move too slow for me. Low gravity, no landing, no landing. Stars keep calling. I'm answering.
Yo. What's up, everybody? Thanks for jumping in the live stream. Welcome. This is my first live stream ever on the channel. I've been going hard for about a month here. So like and subscribe to the episode. Special guest today, Patrick in from Vetted. Patrick, what's up, man? How's it going, dude?
What up, Astral? Happy to be here, man. Very excited.
So you got off a trip. You got renewed energy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm exhausted, but I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. I got this. I got third, fourth, fifth wind. Let's go.
Nice. Yeah. So really, I want to just go through some of these bookmarks of a lot of the stuff that's been happening. You know, the overarching theme here is going to be challenging ufology. And I think just to have that thought in mind of how do you challenge ufology? Like, what is it? What is a way? Because if you look at people who have gone against the grain and started speaking out about the things that they're suspicious of, or that they, don't connect all the dots, and just plain out might be hoaxes, calling things out, are sort of seen as the opposition itself, the enemy. And I think there's got to be a way that I think it could be presented to the public to where you can challenge ufology. You can challenge the stuff, the narratives that were being told, the people who are being put on these platforms, the informations that were being told. And there's got to be a way. So just right off the bat, I'll throw that to you of, just what your thoughts on just overall challenging ufology.
First, I have a question, Astral. What's your rule on eating chicken fingers on your live stream? Because
you have sauce. What's the sauce with it?
I got
barbecue. What do you got?
No. They don't have good barbecue sauce in Spain, bro. They don't. It's a joke. It's just mayo and ketchup. Even their ketchup is bad here. But anyway, yes, of course. I think challenging things is, absolutely. Like, look, when I work at any job I've ever had, and my last career before podcasting was in the food industry, you literally challenge everything you're making. Like, you don't put out a dish that's bad and nobody's upset. Oh my God, that steak is undercooked. Why are we, you know what I mean? Like, you don't pretend it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Or whatever the dish is. Like, you want it to be good before it goes out to the table. Like, that's what everyone should be thinking. Everyone should be on that page of, we want only the best to go out. And I don't understand. It's a huge red flag in ufology. That's the stigma. So this is what I always say, that people in the UFO community say, oh, there's a stigma. If you bring up UFOs, if you talk about stuff, you're going to get laughed at. You're going to get that. Well, ufology has its own stigma. If you challenge things or question anyone's story, people come down on you hard. How dare you? How it's like, dude, that's the whole point. All of these stories can't be true. What are the odds of that? Right? What are the odds that every fucking story that comes out is true? It's not possible. So some people are lying. Some people are mistaken. Right? It doesn't necessarily have to be necessarily a disingenuous lie, but clearly, but I also believe not every story is a lie. So how do you square that away mentally? Well, you got to challenge some things. And if something is real, if something is truthful, it will withstand the challenge. You know what I mean? Like if I
Right.
challenge that the sun is not in the sky, guess what? The sun ain't going anywhere. The sun's there. It's the truth. There's no, you know what I mean? So I think either people need to be better at telling their stories and lies if they can't handle challenges, like get better at lying. Or if it's truthful, you should have no problem being challenged or asked questions about your thing. In fact, you should invite it because it would help more prove your story. So yes, I think it's ridiculous that in some ways we're not allowed to question things or I went on a challenging spree on X while I was on vacation, challenging people to debates while I was sitting on the beach enjoying myself in between glasses of Albarino. But I think it's absolutely necessary.
I think especially when it's healthy too, and there's like both sides of it too. Just like you were talking about of a healthy challenge where you're just really having a discussion elevated on certain topics and just arguing each other's point. It doesn't even necessarily need to be your opposite sides of it. You know, you might see it in a different perspective, but there's this whole like counterculture to people like just going over the top, out of bounds, way out of line with some of the trolling and opposition. And it's like, that's the part that kind of rubs, I think, a lot of the community the wrong way is this like,
Sure.
Low brow fucking bullshit, trolling that happens, like some of the stuff that I saw just from you challenging UAP Gerb or Matt Ford was crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was insane. It was stupid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
unfortunate, man. A part of it, really.
I agree. It's sad. And, but we push through, right? Like we don't stop. I don't see you stopping what you're doing.
True.
And I'm certainly not going to stop it. It keeps me going. And there's always going to be the peanut gallery. And to some extent, it's kind of necessary to some extent. But yes, some people can take it too far. And I don't mind people giving their opinions. People should give their opinions all day long, whatever it is. Just like I do and you do. It's when people actively try to stop you or dox you or bring your family in. It's like, dude, why are you crossing this line? What are you doing?
Right.
Like this, we're talking about aliens and UFOs for fuck's sake. Like, let's calm down.
Well, what was the main, I think, topic that you wanted to really debate with Gerb? Like, was it the legacy program or what was it exactly that you really wanted to dig in on?
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to debate Matt Ford on. That's what I want to debate, period, is this idea of the, quote, UFO legacy program. First, define it for me. So whoever I'm going to debate, I'm going to say, define UFO legacy program, because he used those words a lot, right? And specifically Gerb, he uses those words a lot, that phrase together. So what does that mean, right? And depending on what they say, I've got responses to that. And sources, people like Gerb and Matt Ford have both said they have sources inside of this UFO legacy program. Well, I have questions about that, right? Because I don't think people understand, like people make claims in this community a lot, but I don't think they understand like what exactly they're saying. So I like to repeat it back. The steel man, right? You repeat it back in a debate, right? So let me just make sure I understand your position, right? Let me steel man it back. That way I know that I'm responding to your position and I'm not inflating it or deflating it. And they basically saying they have sources. A podcaster, okay, comes out of nowhere, has sources inside the most powerful government, America, to ever exist in the history of humanity, a top secret U.S. program, the most secretive U.S. program to ever exist, higher than the Manhattan Project. And they're saying they have sources inside that program. And it's a small program made up of not many people that kept a secret over 80 years, right? So you're telling me you have sources inside of there, right? Like what? It doesn't make sense. And
Yeah.
I want to know, I want to hear a response to that. And I think people are owed a response to that, to some of these challenges, because people love to make claims. That's all you need in the UFO community. You can make up sources, or people can just tell you shit and just say, I was told, and then you just say shit. That's it. That's all we get. That's all we float around with. That's all we talk about. That's all we could discuss. So I'm tired of discussing the same shit. Like, I want to go in. Okay, well, let's hear a little bit more about this. And yes, I'm disappointed that they don't want to friendly debate. Okay, I'm not a asshole. Friendly debate on some of this stuff, challenge them on some of their claims that they make. Someone's just giving their opinion, that's one thing, but they're making claims, definitive claims. That's different. That, to me,
Yeah.
you've crossed into another territory, and I think you should be challenged on this UFO legacy program. The last thing I'll say is, especially with Gerb, the biggest thing, and I have nothing against the guy personally, right? It's nothing against the guy, but he's makes a lot of claims in his videos. I've seen his stuff. It's great. Nothing wrong with it. But my question is, so you figured out this most secretive U.S. program and how it works. You have sources inside of this, people inside of this program, but nothing's happened to him. He's divulging America's most top secrets, right? And all the connections and people and this and that. Well, my big question would be, well, what has happened to you when you've looked into regular top secret programs that the military has of human made, right, technology? What happens to you then? You go to jail, right? So what's how can it be it doesn't make sense that this is happening. And I want somebody to prove their worth as a researcher. Show me what you did looking into other top secret projects. So I'm just supposed to believe this shit when you come out of nowhere and say you have all these big sources that can spout acronyms and all that. All of that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just wonder why they can't be asked questions. And the problem is, they'll go on a podcast with someone else that is going to ask them the question, but not, they're going to say, what do you say to people that say this to you? It's just a softball question they get to respond to, right? And I know why they don't want to talk to me. I know why they don't want to talk to me, because I have a lot of questions. But hey, I'm an idiot, as they said. I would get demolished by Gerb and Matt Ford. They would demolish me because they're so much smarter than me.
You're not in the big leagues yet.
Yeah, if I'm such an easy target, well, then just smush me like a roach. What's the problem? Come on and talk to me and smush me like a roach. You know what I mean? What's the big deal? Why is anybody worried about little old me eating chicken fingers with mayo and ketchup on live streams? You know what I mean? I'm a nobody.
And it just goes to, I think you look at going into like spaces or something where people are able to come in and answer questions, you know, those tough questions. But the big guys up top, obviously, you know, they don't want to be put on the spot. And even when, and we'll go up on some of these clips, I'll pull up when Gerb was on the podcast with Avi Loeb and Hal Puthoff, it was like he had mittens on. He's like, Hal, Hal, I don't want to, I don't want to hurt your feelings or whatever, but what the hell was A-tip? Like, I just want somebody to dig in for an hour
and
to make them nerd. We got to kind of put these guys on their heels more so than like, I've always thought with the congressional hearings that it's got to be when I think people are going to really take it serious is when it's flipped and somebody's being pressed on the UFO topic. They're being, and everybody's like, well, let's bring, Glenn Gaffney or Kirkpatrick or whoever. But I think until we get into that investigation part of it and not like, oh, tell us the whistleblowers, just tell us everything and give us all the stuff. And just like you're saying, I think the most frustrating part is the source part of it, this anonymous source that you don't have access to. The general public doesn't have access to this. And it's an insider game. But then they want to be like, well, if it's classified, then you shouldn't know about it anyway at all. If any of this stuff is classified, you shouldn't have been told this information because you're not in, you're not in unless you're fucking hiding the information. But I think that's the frustrating part is there's another layer to this where it's this like backrooms club where signal group thing, accessible. And honestly, one of the things you got to do is you got to play the game. You got to play the not questioning and challenging ufology game. And you don't, and you've seen it time and time again where people start speaking up, and whether it's Greenwald, Green Street, Lou Reviews, whoever, you see these guys come in at a very, pro contribution. I'm trying to get, this out. And then they take this turn where they become very critical of the topic because they think it becomes a frustration because it's so personality based and not about the evidence that should be able to stand on itself.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
All right, let me bring up a couple things I'm gonna go over. Last night, bro, I got ratioed so bad by Brandon Fugel.
I saw this tweet you put out, dude.
So I said, do people actually take this show seriously anymore? I watched one episode. I saw one episode ever of Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know if you watched it or not, but I saw one episode, and so it was a season opener, and this is when I first got on UFO Twitter, and I watched it, and so I was watching the episode, and this guy they rent this helicopter, they send it up in the air, they got this guy on hanger, he's hanging off the edge of the helicopter, they're filming this whole thing, he's doing these scans, they're doing this whole crazy thing, and then at the end they're like, well, the data's corrupted, we can't use it, sorry, we'll see you next week. And I'm like, wait, like they did the whole thing. So I say that, and then Brandon Fugel chimes in, and I had a space last night.
Holy shit, bro! Let me see that ratio, dog. Oh yeah. My, bro.
Hold on. Wait, the bigger, where's the, yeah? So I had 84 likes, and his had 8 right there.
Yes,
it's like the ultimate. But yeah, he goes into a 3-paragraph rant on the on the event at Skinwalker, on the episode, I guess, that I was talking about. So
well, at least he responded.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I responded to somebody else before because they said something about Brandon Fugel, and I was like, I actually got respect for Fugel because he has come into spaces for hours and just answered questions. The only thing about the Fugel, and I talk about it every time, it's like one of my huge frustrations with the last couple of years is this video that he supposedly has of the meeting with the Skinwalker Ranch meeting where Kirkpatrick was at, right? You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Kirkpatrick didn't remember he was there, and Fugel posted the screenshot of Kirkpatrick there, and they were giving the presentation. So Fugel has come out and said that Kirkpatrick stands up in the meeting, during the meeting, in the beginning of it, and says, you don't have to really do this. We acknowledge the UFO phenomenon as being real. Like, this is real. Kirkpatrick says this, according to Fugel.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, dude, so I wrote Fugel at the time, and I was like, dude, release that video. Like, I'll edit people out. I'll isolate Kirkpatrick of just saying that. And he's like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean, no, dude? You can put Arrow and Kirkpatrick away right now. You could end the whole thing. Like, you could show that he acknowledges UFOs as being real, like, to me. And he's like, and then, I started calling him out publicly. Like, Gary Nolan blocked me over this, bro, because I was like, dude, release that footage, man. And he's like, no, you should trust that happened based off of the picture. And I'm like, man. So that, yeah, that's with the Fugel thing. I'm like, man,
no, I don't trust that shit happened.
All right, here's another thing.
Crazy. That's so
remember
crazy.
the Rubik's Cube thing?
Yeah.
Dylan testified to ICIG, the police of the intelligence agencies, that there is a UFO program, and it's called Rubik's Cube. That's what he said. That's what I heard from the.
That's what he said. You could hear that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. To me, this points to this whole thing of information being revealed or released that would send somebody to jail. Okay. Like, I've kind of talked about this a lot over the last couple of months about my doubt in somebody actually going to jail about what they would be revealing about UFO classified information. And if you flip it around, to me, I think that if somebody actually went through this process for real, that would make that person a rock star. Like, that would be the move that got this. Like, if the news station showed up and Hal put off in handcuffs because he released this information, you know what I'm saying? Because he released this information, he would become a rock star. I think the support, we're talking about whistleblower support, and we'll go over that too. But I think that would genuinely come from, these guys going through that process.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yes, absolutely. This is kind of the conundrum, because this is the world of ambiguity that ufology sets up. They make things seem so dangerous. They make, you think that or they make you feel that the whistleblowers have gone through so much. And I'm not saying they haven't, but that's the narrative that's sold. Whether it's true or not is not my point in bringing this up. So don't question the whistleblowers, because they've been through a lot, of their family, this, that. So don't ask ask any hard questions about this stuff. Just trust us. The evidence exists, and they tell you how important this is for humanity. But at the same time, they tell you it shouldn't come out, right? For X reason, or maybe this reason, or like Hal put up and said, well, we had a meeting and that. So, bitch, why are you bringing it up then? Why did you come out to begin with and even talk about, right? It's like a chef come out of the kitchen and say, well, we got this special. It's amazing. It's delicious. You're going to love it. It's the best thing I've ever had. I've been waiting 6 months to get a hold of this fish, and I've sliced it just right. But you can't have it.
Right.
Bitch, why you tell me about it? Why did you even bring it up? Why did you offer it as a special if I can't eat it? So it doesn't make any sense. But again, that's kind of the point of this. It's ambiguity, right? And so we're left to fend with, well, yeah, dude, somebody needs to Snowden this shit. Somebody needs to come out and say it and go to jail and all of these things. But I just don't even think that's where the argument is, because yes, I think if it was true, somebody would have already done that. Especially, well, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to lose my life. Okay, but you said this has been going on since Roswell, and even according to Grush and other people, predating Roswell, Mussolini back in 19. So clearly, people have been at the end of their life. If this was true, people have been at the end of their life working in the UFO Legacy program. Why doesn't that motherfucker do it? Who's got nothing left to lose? Right. I could get if the argument is, well, he's 22, he's young, he's got a kid, he's got, okay, great. But why isn't the guy that's at the end of his life doing it? Right. Patrick, but there's been deathbed confessions. We're not talking about deathbed confessions. People have told plenty of stories. Right. We're talking about bringing out the hard evidence that you say exists. It's always just around the corner. It's always just out of reach. Right. It's just always on the other side of that door. Trust me, I was told by XYZ and I trust them, so you should trust me. I should trust you. I don't know you. You're a stranger on the internet. You're a stranger that I saw on a YouTube podcast, right? In between supplements and fucking BetterHelp ads. And I'm supposed to believe the greatest secret in the history of mankind just on a whim. Again, you can't set it up as the greatest thing to ever face humanity, right? And then the trust level, the evidence level is the lowest of anything, period. There's more, people try to use a coupon at a store that you just say, well, trust me, I have the coupon. I have it. You don't need to see it. Just trust me. I saw it. It said 50% off, so you should give it to me. Even retail stores need more evidence for fucking purchases than we require for the greatest secret in the history of mankind. It doesn't make sense.
No, for sure. That's funny. That's hilarious. Oh, speaking of, okay, so the Travis Walton thing, I don't know where you stand on it, but I was producing the latest episode of Sound, Light, and Frequency, and I found this interesting, that the UFO incident, this movie, was premiered 2 weeks before on national television, before the Travis Walton incident. And I think that, again, we're talking overall theme here, challenging ufology. I think you sort of have to go through this, like you're saying, not get emotionally tied to anything. And Travis Walton, I think, is one of the cases in which, for me personally, I've looked more into it. It looks more and more like a hoax, or like something was not right. It was very suspicious of what it was. And it wouldn't necessarily be that everybody involved in the crew was involved, that this could have been just, and I think that was the explanation in which one of the people who have, the two of the guys who have come out recently have said, was that he was in charge, he was doing like the lighthouse thing, the beam, and that Travis Walton was in on it, and they both were in on it, and then he disappeared and came back. So the crew passed all of these lie detector tests because they really thought genuinely of like something happened. And especially if they had just seen this movie and they were like talking about it, and there was only 3 channels back then too. So there was 3 channels, and this was a movie completely about abductions based off of Benny and Barney Hill. So I've always thought, I don't know. And then, you know, Travis Walton has still kind of been around. He recently had a episode on Chris Ramsey where he was talking with Bob Lazar, which is an interesting concept, I think. But where do you stand on Travis Walton? Where are you at?
Oh man, yeah, this is another one of those things where, just like you said, you know, Travis Walton seems like a nice guy. He's a nice guy. I met him. Okay. Are we talking about if people are nice guys, or are we trying to decide if Travis Walton was abducted by aliens and taken aboard a spaceship from outer space? Okay. I'm just saying, I'm looking at the claims, and I don't know. Travis Walton's probably a great guy, but no, I do not believe his claims. I used to think it was one of the better stories out there. Fire in the Sky was a movie I loved growing up. I still love the movie. I think it's a phenomenal film. But his story just has so many holes in it that I personally, everyone make their own decision, but me personally, I just can't see through those holes. And I did a deep dive on this recently about some of the stuff you're bringing up of the 2 guys who were, you know, there with him, and one specifically his best friend, Mike, whatever his name is, you know, saying on record to another filmmaker on a recorded call that this is made up, that they planned a hoax, and that they planned other hoaxes actually. But to be fair, he also, another guy on his deathbed was like saying he hoaxed the Phoenix Lights. They hoaxed all kinds of, you know, other weird things. So you know, it's a tough thing, but you know, I just saw in that Bob Lazar, Travis Walton interview, which I agree, Chris Ramsey's great. His production's great. It's a great concept. I like the idea of people talking like that. I didn't particularly like that one so much, but I like the idea. I think it's cool for entertainment purposes only. But he starts talking about, I didn't even know this, Travis Walton was visited by aliens when he was a kid as well. Now, all of a sudden, where was that? Where did, I mean, it's just like, I mean, come on, man. You know, and then you point this out, right? This story comes out before, and you know, people love to point out coincidences the other way, right? In favor of abductions or experiences or cases. People love to point out those coincidences. And how can you ignore that coincidence? Well, how can you ignore this coincidence, right? You can't have it both ways. That's the thing. I don't go in emotionally. I'm not predetermined one way or the other. If he actually got abducted by aliens, I mean, yes, I want to know that. Like, that would be insane. But I don't want to just make it up. I don't want to just believe it because he's a good guy.
Just go along with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, and the last thing I'll say is there was a National Enquirer contest that they were trying to win as well, when his abduction case happened, and they got like $5,000 from it. I think it was more actually, but I'm just saying there's a lot of coincidences. So I don't know, where do we stand? Do we ignore those coincidences? You know, I don't know. You pick or you choose. You know.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some dots. There's some dots there for sure that are connect on the other side. Just like you're saying, and to support the idea of something happening, you know, in the experience itself, of ways that it could be, you know, kind of suspect. So you have to play it, you know, both ways for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, my soft disclosure. We're getting soft. This disclosure's getting soft here. So it's just like the Shermer thing is just funny to me, bro, because like Matt Ford whatever you think of him, he talks a lot of shit. And he's like to Shermer specifically. And I just found it like, damn, you had the chance for the guy to come on your show and to debate him live, and you don't want to do it. And I think that's to me kind of says something. I don't know what exactly it says, but I would want people who are calling stuff out like that to live debate. It goes back to the other one that I think it was like the Gary Nolan Mick West thing, where these guys are like, oh, I don't want to waste my time with this. Well, you've wasted your time making 100 posts about complaining about this. Like, why wouldn't you want to like pull up to the guy and show him or show the public that he's kind of like full of shit?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Matt Ford could gain a lot of respect. I have no problem with him giving his opinion, and I know there's a lot of people in my Discord that like Matt Ford and these quote rants he goes on, and people love it, and they talk about it. And great guy, he's passionate. He loves giving his opinion. I see nothing wrong with that, right? The problem is just what you said. The moment the person you're talking all this shit about is like, yeah, okay, I'll talk to you. Oh no. And then there's some bigger moral high ground they stand on of why they can't talk to him because it's disingenuous. You know what I mean? It's a safe challenge. It's like talking shit before a fight with somebody and then you back out of the fight. You don't show up to the fight. You can't do that.
Right.
If you're going to talk all this shit, you're going to say stuff. And he came after me too. And I challenged him to a debate. Of course, he declined. Yeah, it looks sad. It looks silly, if I'm being honest. It just makes me go, okay, I don't take that person seriously anymore. Now, if Matt Ford did, hey, Michael Shermer, yeah, I've talked a lot of shit about you. Come on, let's talk about it. I'd have some respect for that. He'd be like a Pierce Morgan type. You know what I mean? Hey, have him on, talk. However it goes, you at least showed up. You at least were willing to talk to the person, right? That you gain respect that way. I think he's afraid of potential points that might make that he's can't find out, right? Something live, something that's not scripted, something his sources didn't tell him. I think I think that's what people need to do more in this community is challenge some of these people, and you can start to see where some of the holes are.
Good points for sure. And look, this is one that I kind of got
legacy program because it seems like they aren't necessarily the same thing.
They're not the same thing. That's true.
And if there is a legacy program, who do we talk to? What steps do we go to get that information? Because it seems like it feels like we're rediscovering historical records that have been forgotten or lost.
Right. I would say the best opportunity you might have would be go to somebody like Jay Stratton, who was in charge of the UAP task force for like 16 years. And he was dealing with all the various elements. And then he ran into the, quote, gatekeepers for the legacy program.
Okay.
And so that's... So the OSAP program was started by Senator Harry Reid and a couple of other senators.
I think that's just frustrating. I'm just the Jay Stratton part, especially, because
motherfucker.
I mean,
sorry.
I think Ben Burleson says it right in the beginning. He's like, we seem to be just circling back around. Well, yeah, you're just circling back around to Jay Stratton right now. It doesn't even make sense. Why wouldn't Jay Stratton already have been a person? And I think even more frustrating is that Burleson was in a space last year or earlier this year with Red Panda. He hosted a space and Burleson came in and somebody specifically asked him, have you guys talked to Jay Stratton yet? And he was like, no, he's not a person of interest. And I was like, what do you mean he's not a person of interest? Fast forward 6 months down the road and these guys are asking how Puthoff, and Puthoff's like, go talk to Jay Stratton. And it's like, I kind of think that Luna, Burchett, Burleson, all these guys, Moscovich, they still don't know where the hell to go. They still don't know anything or have gotten any closer to finding any answer in my mind, because they still don't know to talk to Jay Stratton. And it's just these points keep coming up in these interviews, and I just step back and I'm like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? Exactly. I feel that cue the Whitney Houston song. I think yes, dude. I made a whole video about this last August. I've shared it a few different times. Of that same space you're talking about, it was with Chupacabra actually. Asked
Oh, okay.
Burleson.
Tupa and Red. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Tupa or Red was there too. Yes, but Tupa asked, "Hey, what's going on with Jay Stratton? What happened?" First of all, let me just say, Chupacabra is a great interviewer. That dude should do more interviews, and he deserves more credit for the questioning because he asked great questions. But yes, he asked Burleson. Burleson's like, "Oh, well, David Grush told me like he's not a person of priority, like you said, a person of interest."
Right.
I made a whole video showing why Jay Stratton should be a person of interest. Right? You can't say Jay Stratton is sold as, right, in the age of disclosure and other forums, as the most senior official. This is not me saying this. The most senior U.S. official to ever come forward who worked on UAPs. And you're telling me he's not a person of interest? Right? And by David Grush, so they just don't look into him, Jay Stratton. And like you said, now Hal Puthoff's like, maybe you should talk to Jay Stratton. Bitch, what the fuck? Yes, what are we doing? Like you said, what are we doing? Yes, we're going in circle. Like, what are we? It's nonsense. I mean, it's for anybody paying attention, it is so frustrating. I don't know why all of us haven't grated our teeth down and pulled all of our hair out. We should all be bald and toothless in this community because of how frustrating this is. Yes, it's
Whistling Mike
bonkers.
says Grush sent Burleson to see the mummies before Jay Stratton.
Yes, exactly, dude.
The Boogosphere and
come on, dude.
all that.
Come on, man. It's so stupid. And now do you think, is Eric Burleson going to go back to Grush and say, "Hey, man, you told me Jay Stratton was a priority. Hal Puthoff's telling me I should look into, whatever, Jay Stratton," right? They're telling us right to our face that's all red flags. They're telling us nothing makes sense. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on, but they act like they know what's going on. You have all these different people behind the scenes with their own stories and versions. They don't even define legacy program in that. You notice how people just talk about it and don't describe any of these terms or what the fuck they mean. They just say it. It's set up in a way that we fill in the gaps, right? It's the God of gaps. We fill in the aliens and UFOs. And they don't ever have to mention it. They just say legacy program.
Right. And the credibility comes rolling in, I think, too, with the frustration.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good clip. This is interesting.
See photographs of crash retrieval and documents. What did that feel like? What did it?
That was startling when I actually see recorded evidence with my own eyes, photographs, reports, and whatnot. That took it to a higher level. That kicked it up several notches of reality. And that made it very clear that this reality is very hard, very physical, very real. And this type of evidence, you can't come by in the open literature. It's not public, it's classified. And I can't discuss what it was, but I can tell you, yeah, it's a crash retrieval, there's a craft, and there's alien bodies. That's all I can say about it.
You swear on your life that you saw those pictures?
Oh, I swear on my life and everybody's, my children's life. So, yeah, I'm absolutely telling you the truth. I saw the evidence, and it's stark.
Swear on your mother's life. Yeah. It's a crazy question to ask somebody at the moment, though. You swear on your life. Like, I don't think of course she's going to say yes. Yeah. And I think it's like I don't know. It's like a brashness in which he's saying it. And like, I know this stuff. I've seen this stuff. I just can't tell you about it because it's classified. It's like a braggadocious attitude towards it. And we never get any clear of this. And even with the evidence that's supposed to be coming out with the UAP files and all the UFO file drops, like, that's been oversold, I feel like. you know, the 52 videos that Luna says, oh, people are going to be going crazy. Timberchet's like, yo, religion might have to change. You know, he's talking about, you know, the society might break down and, you know, all this stuff. And no, what did he say? The holy crap moment. This next one's going to be the holy crap moment.
Yeah.
And so far, I'm just, it's full of crap moment. It's more like it.
Yeah. We've shit ourselves. All right. Not because of disclosure. Yeah. You know, that clip of Eric Davis, again, if you just pay attention to his wording, what exactly is he swearing on his children's lives? He's swearing he saw pictures of craft and alien bodies. He's not saying they're legit craft and alien bodies. All right? Do you see what I'm saying? There's a distinction here. Of course, he can swear on it. He can swear on it all day long because he knows he's not swearing on anything real. And he can say, I saw a photo. It kicked it up a notch. That's opinion, right? That's opinion. It's classified. All I can tell you is the meat and potatoes, but I can't describe the meat and potatoes. That's not how, in my opinion, I mean, maybe I'm an idiot, but I don't see how that really, is that the loophole around classified information? You can just say all of that. You can tell me that it's a crash retrieval. You can tell me about the alien bodies and the disc, therefore revealing that the government is hiding the secret, but they didn't, that's not included in the classified information. They'll let you talk about all of that. Just give what details is left to give, motherfucker? You just gave all the details out. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what is there left? You just said everything. So what are you talking about, right? Like, it's designed in a way to ooh and awe you, right? They hit you with these terms and these things, and you go, oh, James Fox, you swear on your life you saw that? Yes, I swear on my life I saw that. And who gives a fuck? You know, what the fuck? I saw water at the beach. I swear. I mean, it's stupid. It's so frustrating. I mean, I don't take any of it seriously, man. I really just don't. It's sad. It's sad that it's
hard
to
to.
Yeah, it's sad that it's come to that because I used to listen more attentively and ooh and awe over it a little bit more. I fell for it. I mean, it worked on me for a long time, you know, in the sense it worked on me.
It's like disclosure nuggets. I think people, when they get into the field and into the topic, you want to kind of support it when you're coming in, and whether it's based off an experience or you're getting interested in it because it's new. It's, you know, it's, I have this ufology curve that I made. So it's like a curve. I should have had the graphic, but when people get into the topic, everything's new and fresh. It's like a new car, you know, everything is like interesting and there's rabbit holes and you can dive in and, you know, the experiencer stuff, there's sci stuff, there's technology, you know, there's all this cool stuff. And then you start to reach a point where you're really looking into this stuff and you start to get a little bit critical, you know, you start analyzing things a little bit more. And she's, you know, then the car, you know, the car doesn't smell as good, and there's like cracks, and there's a sound that keeps, you know, the steering wheel's drifting off. So you start to notice things, and then you become, you know, openly, I think, critical of the topic. You start to like really start questioning things and the validity and the credibility of people involved in it because, you know, a lot of it is larger scale stuff. You know, it ties back to like Doty and stuff like that, and you know, all of this stuff is just seems like a lot of disinformation and narrative control. So it's really tough, I think, to navigate through this, and you sort of have to have this like discernment. I think is one of the most important things of like somehow getting that discernment as quick as you can of not jumping on board of everything so quickly, and to kind of take it, you know, just as data and information.
Yeah, man, well said. Totally agree.
So are you? I'm going to go through a couple of the tweets that you've posted on. The Vanguard, this is the Whistleblowers by Whistleblowers, Matthew Brown and Dylan Borland. I don't know, man. Like, I think that I don't know how successful this is going to be when the main contributors or supporters are just going to be in the UFO community. I think for people to really get supported like that, I almost feel, and I've referenced it a lot before, if someone's actually going to have to go through the process of like going to jail, of like revealing this information. And I whenever I posted, people are in the comments like, well, would you go to jail, Astral? Would you, like, would you get your family? I mean, honestly, if I was in a lot of these guys' situations, like a Hal Puthoff or Eric Davis, I would. You know what I'm saying? And I think just that would create this like social uprising that people would be like, oh shit, like this guy's going to jail for like revealing UFOs. Like, yo, we got to support this guy, not the other way around where we're like, come support the whistleblowers and then they'll tell us the good stuff, down the road of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a tough. Yeah. I mean, again, it's just, I'm just really starting to think that scenario just doesn't even exist. Someone's going to come out and release it and go to jail. I just don't even think that scenario exists. And I think the best way to combat all the criticisms, right? This is why people say shit like this. This is why people are out here going, yeah, man, somebody go to jail. Somebody do something. Why? Because we've been told for so long that there's this thing, but nothing has happened about that thing. So of course people are very critical. There's one way to combat all this criticism. Bring out this evidence. Bring out this proof, right? That's all you got to do. That in and of itself would combat all the criticism. Again, if it's true, it will withstand all the criticism. And of course people are going to say, if it was me, I would do it. I get all of that. I get that frustration of people wanting to say that. I personally don't know what I would do in that situation till I was in it. So I don't know if the stream's still going, but Astral's power went out. Tell me in the comments. I can see the comment. Tell me in the comments if you still see me and hear me. Yes. Okay. I'm in it. Okay. So we're gonna wait for Astral to come back and join. So I'm gonna take over. Hang on. Let me send Astral a message here. All right. Well, so they came after Astral, man. His power went out. He'll be back in just a second. So I'll take over here. Not my first rodeo. Yes, first stream has to have a flub required. You know what? Let's look at some comments here, y'all. Let's get to y'all. I can't bring up your comments because I'm not running it that way, but I can respond to some of y'all. So let's get some shout outs here. We got Seco Activo, Pavel in the house, man. Hell yeah. I'm sure y'all know who Pavel is. Go check out his show if you're not. Does a great job of covering the topic. And definitely check him out. I'm sure you guys already know about it. We got Desmo in the house. Love having Desmo here. Paranormal, Whistling Mike. We got Jeremy. Android. UFO Intros. Pug. Heiser. Look at that. Got a lot of vetted crew in here. I love that. Yeah, look, there's a lot here. There's a lot of opinions. And this is all I want from the UFO community. Me personally, I think there should be differing opinions. I welcome people who lean into this stuff and who support whistleblowers and who, want to see this stuff happen.
Yo,
Astro, you're back.
Hell yeah, dude!
I was giving everybody disclosure.
Dude, I have a storm going on behind me, and my power just went out. I was going to say something a little bit before, but thank you. I appreciate you holding it down.
Wow, I've got this. I know what I'm doing here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I just want to finish my thought real quick. All I was saying is, I want everyone to have differing opinions about this. I respect people who lean into the whistleblowers and want to support them and stories and testimonies and experiencers and all of this stuff. I respect all of that. And I support all of that. The biggest wish that I have for this community is people being allowed to have their own viewpoints if someone doesn't believe some of this stuff or doesn't believe someone's story or is questioning this or that, that they be allowed to do that and we can coexist together. How do we want aliens to present themselves to humanity when we can't even get along? Right? Like, you think we're going to agree with aliens about everything? Right? You think they're going to come down and go, yeah, Seinfeld's the greatest television show to ever exist? Bitch, they may hate Seinfeld. What are you going to do then when the aliens say that? You know what I mean? What if they're like, Michael Jackson sucks? His, Billie Jean's the worst song I ever heard. People are going to lose their shit. Yeah, there's something greater than soccer. Have you heard of cosmic whatever ball? Cosmic Saturn ball? It's amazing. I just think we should all be trying to get together and enjoy someone's differing opinion. Start to like someone that thinks differently than you. Start to enjoy that they bring a different perspective. Start to enjoy that they're questioning even when you may not, because there may come a time when you are questioning something, right? We're all there. So I just think us being able to get along, if we want aliens to come and start interacting with us on an open level, if you think it's happening privately, in a more open level, we've got to start getting along maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, and just finding a way to work together. I had my first interview, bro. I did my first interview earlier today with Gene Sticko. Do you know Gene? Have you met Gene before?
Yeah. Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Did he tell you about his website? He's got that new website.
He just started it. Yeah, he just announced it. So he said he just kind of debuted it. So that's cool. I haven't checked it out yet, but he was talking about it. But we were talking about just how to work together as a community to develop a field of understanding this way separate from the government. And I think people have tried to do this, and we were talking about the lack of a scientific field. But a lot of people in the comments, I think, are evidence-based, because it's like a veteran. You start to get into this topic and it just gets tiring with all of the stories and the claims and the trust me bros and the constant bait that you're led down the road to. But I think some sort of system that would be put into place where the community is able to, even with psionics, I know you're big on the just investigating and looking into psionics. And I think that venture, the idea behind Skywatcher of like using the community of experiencers to study the phenomenon and gain our own data collection to figure out what's going on is the challenge to me. Like that would be the goal, to try and understand this. Less about, let's get the government to release the evidence on this case and then we'll figure out what the aliens are. I feel like looking forward, if you were to develop the field of ufology, the scientific part of it. And I think that's just so lacking because it's all built on journalism, basically.
Yeah. Good point, man. Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's just go through the last of these. And if you guys got any questions in the comments, I really appreciate everybody showing up and supporting for the stream. Again, this is like my first live stream ever. I've been doing the channel for about a month. So really cool to see everybody just posting and coming to say what's up.
Listen,
we got Pablo in there, Desmo, already, everybody.
Yeah, dude. Listen, hit that like button. I know some of y'all are watching and haven't hit the like button. I can't tell you as a creator how much that actually helps the video. It's free. It's one little click down there. If you're on your phone, if you're on your desktop, if you're on your TV, it's a little bit harder, but figure it out. You want aliens to come down? You want to learn about tech? Learn how to hit the like button on a YouTube video. That will really help out Astral's stream here, guys, by hitting the like button.
All right, so the next I've only got just a couple more that we can go over, and then we'll just close it up here. So this, you hinted at this earlier. If you're saying you have inside sources to the legacy program, whatever the fuck that means, I don't take you seriously. So are people who are podcasting actually saying that they have sources inside the legacy inside the legacy program?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, Gerb is one of them. UAP Gerb, is he not just a podcaster like any of us? I mean, What's so different? Again, nothing against the guy, but I'm just saying, again, I don't think you understand the claim you're making. Like, it sounds good in UFO community, but I don't know about y'all, but my feet are planted outside the UFO community. I live in the real world, right? Like, you're telling me that if we were just at a restaurant, at a bar, you'd be like, I got sources inside the most secretive U.S. government program to ever exist. And I just started doing my podcast a few years ago. And now all of a sudden I got access, not only inside the program, he said, but outside, people connected to it as well. It's like, where are you getting all these? You're telling me these people are talking to you? Why would they do that? Why are they revealing information to you behind the scenes? Right? It's not like that information becoming public. It's not like they're doing interviews. Again, it just doesn't make sense. And maybe there's a valid reason, but that's why I challenged Gerb to a friendly debate. Let me ask him. I have a lot of questions about these quote sources. And I'm not saying he needs to reveal who they are. I don't even need to know the names. I don't really care, if I'm being honest. I have a question about the validity of these sources connected to the most secretive U.S. program to ever exist. Again, America is considered the most powerful nation to ever exist in the history of humanity. And this program, UFO Legacy Program, whatever the fuck that means, can't ever be defined. You telling me you just have people inside of there? And it's not just them. Ross Coulthart says it.
Right.
A lot of people say that they have these sources that are deep inside. How it must not be the most secretive program then, if that's who they're talking to. Like, why would you talk to a UFO guy? Like, again, it just doesn't. Things aren't adding up for me, and I can't be the only one. So that's why I just want to ask questions. Hey, maybe they explained it all away, and I'm the idiot, and no problem. But why won't they? Why won't they talk about it? Why won't they have that challenge? If it's true, should have nothing to worry about. These questions should be easy to answer.
Yeah, it's tough too because a lot of the information coming from, I guess you would just say, investigative journalists, and they're not getting to Congress. So these guys have the access to the information of the people who we would want to bring out in the public and expose this. They're directly like sourcing what is needed, but the information or the people or any of that is not getting. It's like this telephone game that is trying to happen that is getting this information out to the public when I think people just want to see the curtain. They want to see all of it exposed to, what I'm saying? And let's not, can't ignore the angle also. And Brent Friedman and Bryce Abel talk about this with this, the guy from Naval Intelligence, the possibility that these guys could be getting worked over by the sources. You know what I'm saying? Like the sources can be, delivering information that they're hopefully going to promote on their channel. And that might be a big reason for it, is the channel and, the platform of having this information out to a bunch of people paying attention to the topic has to be put into play into this as well.
Yeah. Disinformation, not even real shit. Are those sources real? How did you confirm as a podcast, just a normal citizen in Fucktown, USA, that what kind of actual vetting did you do? You know the type of resources it would require to vet a source inside the most secretive US program to ever exist. And how is that person communicating with you? Do you know how to do this covert communication? What experience do you have? Do you see what I'm saying? None of this makes sense. This cloak and dagger shit. And what do adversaries think? Right? You don't think someone from China is going to be like, oh shit, this podcaster and whatever has connections to the most secretive thing? Again, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. It sounds good to say that I have these sources and blah, blah, blah. I don't believe a word of it. I'm sorry. I don't believe people that say they have sources inside these secret programs. And if someone's like, I got a source who works for the government, that's different. That totally could be possible. But you're telling me they're inside this quote legacy program, because by in turn saying that, we're skipping over the fact that you're then trying to insinuate that program is real and exists. What proof is there of that program? What proof did you see of that program? Because if they showed you proof that they have revealed classified information to you and you're not read in, and that's against the law. Do you see what I'm saying? None of it makes sense. It's to me just a show. I've been in the entertainment industry for a while. Not heavily, but I tried to be an actor in my 20s. I try to do films and stuff. It's all theatrical. This is all cinematic. This all feels good, right? But I'm here for the truth. I don't know about anybody else.
I'm here for the truth. That's like the most overused statement, though. I feel like I'm just here for the truth. Like we're never, to me, of getting the actual truth to the matter. Like, Jacques Vallée's been at this for 60 years. Jacques Vallée's not further from the truth. I feel like he's turned it into a control system. It's not even any sort of like being, and then you've got Grush out here saying there's bipedal plasmoid, all this other stuff. And it's just, and you know what I had talked about earlier today with Gene that I haven't heard mentioned in a while, the 40 firsthand whistleblowers from David Grush. We still 40 firsthand whistleblowers. Where are any, like one of those guys hasn't, I wonder if what would be interesting is if Matthew Sullivan, the guy who's been out recently of passing away and being involved in the legacy program, right? Like he now it's been, but I just wondered, like the timing of it is very strange, and I wonder why this wasn't made more of a big deal about this. If it really was, he was coming out forward, to expose the legacy program or to testify or something like that. And that may have been a deterrent to other whistleblowers to then come forward. That would kind of make a little bit of sense where, there's this stuff happening and the whistleblowers are really behind the scenes, like really looking at how the landscape is to be able to come out. But at the same time, I do feel like a coordinated catastrophic disclosure effort would be the best thing. Like it would propel all of these guys to be supported by a social uprising. I think that's what's really needed. Not necessarily the UFO community needs to support the whistleblowers. Like the UFO community doesn't need to, I think, monetarily support anything. Like they're already getting the word out. They're talking with the people of having the conversation. I think what needs to happen is like the general public needs to start supporting and like a social, kind of like action that people would realize and be like, holy crap, like we're being lied to about this stuff. Like these guys are trying to expose it and they're actively going in jail. Like this is bullshit or something, like that to me.
Because they're providing evidence. They're providing proof. You can't, telling these stories and saying you're whistleblower, you provide no evidence, no proof. You'd have everyone behind you supporting you. You'd have the whole world behind you supporting you on this stuff. Well, they've testified behind the scenes. They've shown that. Then obviously it didn't matter. It didn't activate the Senate. It didn't activate Congress. Again, there's so many red flags. Things aren't adding up. Why? I don't know. What's the truth? And you're right. It's such a cliche thing for me to say that too, to be honest, because it's like, what the fuck does that even mean? The truth, It's like, again, it's just ambiguity. It's left in this weird dark zone where we're just feeling around in the dark, just like, I don't know what the fuck's going, and it's meant to just perpetually stay that way. That's it. And then we hang on for the next podcast and someone comes out and says something. Oh, Glenn Gaffney was Sean Kirkpatrick's mentor and boss. Oh shit, let's talk about that for a week. It's just all these little things. David Grush, I'm gonna do a press conference, say I saw photos today, right? That I've never seen before. Never talked about before. What the fuck? Yeah, Lou Elizondo on this Japanese live stream saying there's monoliths
on the moon,
pictures on the moon, and it may or may not have been released already, but I think it's coming out. What do you mean it may or may not have been released? Bitch, is it public or not? What do you mean you don't know if that's public or not? What are you talking about? I mean, we're just supposed to eat up this shit sandwich and say thank you. Fuck that. I'm tired of the shit sandwich.
Yeah, now I can reveal it. It's like the Roswell thing. All right, this is the last video, and then I'm gonna pull up a couple questions here. I just thought this was funny because Hal put off. I mean, we're talking about OSAP and ATIP. This has been like highly debated for the last 10 to 15 years in the topic, and Hal put off can't even give a straight answer as to like what the difference is to these two. So let me play this real quick.
There's the legacy program. There's the OSAP, which was not part of the legacy program, existed outside of it, right. Largely in terms of its later years, attempted to pry craft, materials, data, etc., out of the legacy program through now deceased Dr. Jim Ryder. What was ATIP's role in this?
Well, Lou Elizondo was, basically was, you might say, the kind of leader of ATIP. In other words, as things were getting shut down under OSAP, we didn't want to just say, oh, okay, then we're done, And so, what activity he was doing. We just used ATIP. Actually, had been a nickname for OSAP along the way, but it was not itself an independent program. So anyway, what Lou did under the ATIP label was to, for example, gather up, the videotapes, some of which have come out and so on, and gather data from what had been successfully carried through under the OSAP program. So he was just a collaborator, and he and Chris Mellon, took on the task of trying to get this further up the chain of command to General Mattis, who's defense secretary, and they couldn't get through his gatekeepers. So anyway, that's what
Couldn't get through the gatekeepers. That was fumbled way around trying to explain that.
Word salad of nonsense. But even the question is stupid. No offense to Gurr, but the question doesn't make sense either. That's the point. None of it makes sense. It's all a shit shot. It's all, the question isn't good. The answer isn't good because there's nothing to talk. Like, again, what does legacy program mean? What the fuck does that mean? You're asking that as if it's already proven and set up, and it's a very leading question. Again, I don't know, man. I feel very cynical, and it's very I'm an optimistic person. I love in my private life outside of UFOs, I talk about things I love: music, movies with my friends, comedy, you know what I mean? Like I constantly am spending time enjoying things in life, talking about things I love, right? Because I don't have to sit and wonder if it's true or not, if there's evidence of the thing I'm talking about. But ufology is such just this craziness of, you first have to get through the battlefield of, is this even real? And then I'm going to break it down and start trying to figure out details about it. But I haven't even gotten through the first line of soldiers, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so frustrating, and I hate being what seems very cynical, but I just would describe it as realistic. Pragmatic,
Well, trying to just be grounded and go through it. And, even where he's trying to explain, like, the worst part about that whole thing to me was that he's like, well, Lou Elizondo was taking this evidence in these videos, and stop right there, because there's been nobody in ufology that has been worse at investigating evidence in the last couple of years publicly than Elizondo. And this is the guy who's supposed to be leading the program that you guys are like, this is the guy I'm like, man, that doesn't say very highly of the program in my eyes. If he was leading it, this is 20 years ago. Think of how bad his investigative skills were back then. He can't even do an irrigation circle or a lampshade now. And he was leading it's like, what, it's just calls into question. I think the ability for people to openly question and challenge that, just across the board, should be there. All right, let's bring up some questions, and then we'll wrap it up here. Question: what do you think is helping the disclosure process the most right now, and what's hurting it the most? And why can't I super chat? I don't think I have the ability to super chat. I don't have enough hours watched yet. So check out everybody else, the other videos that I've got, and then I can enable some super chats and supports. But definitely we'll do that. Thanks, Probed. So what do you think? What's helping the disclosure process the most? Maybe what's hurting it?
First of all, shout out to Probed. I think this may not be an answer people like, but this is just my opinion after a few years of doing vetted. I think calling it the disclosure process is what hurts it. I think just setting that framework up in and of itself is a mistake, because then you're left to what's helping this disclosure. Are you helping disclose? You're anti-disclosure. I got that so much when I started vetted, of people attacking me because I didn't outright believe and support everything. And if you ask one question, you're anti-disclosure. You're you're not for disclosure. Bitch, of course I'm for the truth. What the fuck? But I'm not just, what are we, not Mr. Gullible here. Like, I want to know the real truth, not just the truth you want me to believe. But I think it should just be what's the evidence process? What's hurting the evidence process? What's hurting the proof process? That's what I would call, you know what I mean? That's to me it. I think just laying out that framework is kind of the mistake, because it tribalizes people, and I think that just hurts it. I think we should very simply be demanding proof from people with their stories, with their, you want support? Prove it. You want this? Prove it. Otherwise, I'll listen. I'll take in the data. That's all I can do for right now.
Right.
We need to demand proof and never stop. They always try to get you to forget the proof part, the evidence part. They sway you other ways. He's a nice guy. Why would he lie? I can't find a motive of why he would lie, right? Like all these other reasons except the evidence and proof. Well, but there's all these things, Patrick. You know, it's an accumulation of story. Bitch, that don't mean anything, right? That's not evidence and proof. So I think demanding proof and evidence from people and never forgetting that that's the end goal. It's like in sports, you teach sports and coach sports, at the end of the day, it's a very simple goals that you teach teams. I played sports a lot growing up. It's, you got to keep your eye on the prize, and you can get sidetracked by all these other little things that have nothing to do with trying to win this game, right? Or this series or this tournament or this league or this championship, whatever it is. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I think too, you saw it play out earlier this year to me with how in the beginning of the year, I think there was an approach to really gather data collection and have it be driven on this science, developing the scientific field. And as soon as Trump made that tweet, that post, it completely shifted back to disclosure. We got to get the president to announce that this is real. And because before that, people like Carl Nell were basically saying, disclosure is kind of dead. The UAPDA has failed 3 times. This controlled, I guess, disclosure process hasn't really been going well, for lack of a better term. And so when you had that switch to, okay, now we need to focus on the science, the data collection, forming the field, getting more credible people involved, I was like, okay, this is a good direction. But I think it went right back to, oh, let's get the evidence out. Let's get an announcement, of claim driven back to disclosure. And I think that's, both sides of that.
Yeah. Great question, Probed.
Yeah, let me hold up. Let me get the next question up here. A lot of comments. Really appreciate everybody with their comments for sure. And ask another question. So how put off telling Burleson on camera that talked Jay Stratton give you the impression how genuinely wants disclosure of the program to happen?
What do you think? You answer first, Astro. I gotta read this.
Well, I think that if he really genuinely wanted disclosure to happen, he would just come out and say it. Like he would actually do it. I feel like at this point, how put off and maybe one of the things, the clips that I played in the last couple of episodes was from the disclosure forum, where Hal Puthoff was asked how much you know about the topic, right? And Hal Puthoff's like, oh, I have like just a little bit. I've only revealed just a little bit, like 10%. I don't know if you put a percentage on it, but it was like, it made me think that like he hasn't revealed anything of what he knows about the topic, and he's revealed quite a bit. But it's like, how do we get to that other 90%? Like, how do we get to that bulk of what he's talking about to come out? And I think for him, he's just got to reveal it. He's got to go through that process to test the system, to say, okay, I'm going to reveal classified information. I'm going to reveal stuff from the legacy program to see if something happens. Same, we go back to the Rubik's Cube thing. Was Jeremy Corbell? I mean, Rubik's Cube was a classified program that these guys are sort of acting like it was. And somebody should have been arrested there. Somebody should have gone to jail. It was revealed right there. It's a classified program, but nothing's been followed up. Nothing's happened since. There's been no independent validation. So it's just tough that, for Puthoff, I don't know if he seems to genuinely want disclosure, but on the controlled disclosure terms. Remember, Hal Puthoff was on that board that advised the White House not to come out with disclosure because it was going to interrupt so much stuff. So nowadays he says, yeah, I would do it now. Well, you can do it. Just do it. Like I feel like if you genuinely want people to know, then it should be revealed what you know of the truth behind the phenomenon of what people would be impactful for disclosure. I think Hal Puthoff knows what needs to be said. Is that information going to be revealed by the time he's done? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it short. I agree with what you're saying, Astral. I would also just add, I personally, and Halpo's not the only one. You know, I just don't really trust any of these guys. No offense to them. I don't really can't trust it. Does he want disclosure of the UFO program? What UFO program? Like what? Disclosure of what? Like I don't know. I don't know what these guys want. I don't know what they're doing. My gut tells me that they clearly have clearance and clearly have been read into programs, but it's probably all man-made, and this is just counterintelligence to sort of make you think it's something else and keep your adversaries at bay. Why would you be, if you're really working on these classified, why would you be just telling your adversaries out in the open that this shit exists? And when that just, you're setting up like, hey, come to us, we got all this secret shit. So it doesn't make any sense. It's like a magician's trick. The trick isn't happening where you're looking. The trick is happening where you're not looking. That's the point. And usually the trick is done before the trick starts. That's how a lot of magic tricks work. It's 99% theatrics. The trick is really simple. And if you found out, you'd be like, oh shit, that's all it is. Some fucking tape behind a toothpick stuck to the, and then the whole next 15 minutes are just selling it. You get to just do whatever, I think that's kind of it here. So I don't know. It's just too hard to really determine what these guys want or what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I mean that really just brings us and brings us to our our last question here, and I think it goes right into that. Is the bottom line that our UFO narrative is going to be successful hiding DARPA light technology? Is this really just a front, the UFO narrative in some regards, to hiding the technology? A lot of this is purposely a maze to sort of navigate through this. While I don't think that covers all of it for sure with the phenomenon itself, like we're looking at what was the Yankee Blue program, right? Like this Yankee Blue idea where it's like a psyop and some sort of like hazing ritual. I don't think that at all. There's no way that covers the whole thing. And just with my personal experiences into it as well, I think it's just frustrating that more of the information and focus isn't on the experiencer phenomenon itself, and it's so disclosure driven that we have to get the whistleblower information, we have to get this information out, we have to have somebody tell us, right? Like we have to have somebody tell us or reveal it to us what it is, instead of us discovering through like a network of research what it is, and it's revealed through the research and through the evidence. So I think there's definitely, I think, a cover up in terms of the technology that we've been developing, which is why it's so sensitive. And when you get into this, like, I can't reveal national security, probably ties back to a lot of this technology that's been out there, and technology that's hidden that we're developing is a lot of the reason for some of these narratives that are out there.
Yeah, man. Well said. And great question, Pug. Yes, I agree. I don't think the Yankee Blue, if it's true, because I saw no evidence of that. They talked about it, but again, I'm asking for evidence either way. Whatever the claim is, it's all a psyop. Okay, well, show me evidence that it's all psyop, right? So it's clearly there's a mixture of answers of things. Could have been a little bit of Yankee Blue and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yeah, that's probably what's happening. There's just a lot of answers to all of this. And I agree, it's so confusing and so confounding and just a spider web of BS that the focus I've personally taken, and I know you have done the same thing, is sort of, I don't know if this is the right term, citizen disclosure. Let's look into this stuff over here, just like you said, experiencers and these people saying these things over. I'm more interested in that. I'm more interested in talking to people like that. There's no filter of all this bullshit of people. I work for the government. I work for an aerospace company, and I gotta, I gotta keep an anonymous, identity online and talk to you about this stuff and act like an expert, but we don't know who the fuck you are. You just deal with a lot of people like that. Again, and if it's true that the UFOs are a counterintelligence to keep secret America's top secret stuff, like, for space and all this, I don't want to blow that open. I love America. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I don't want, I'm not trying to fuck up American projects and shit going on at all. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, shit. I also, if that's helping keep some American secrets that are good for national security and good to keep Americans safe, I also don't want that to be out there. It's just, again, it's this weird conundrum we find ourselves in, which, again, like I said, check out psionics.film, go see my movie. That's what I'm interested in. Let's take this to the phenomena that I do believe there's some weird things happening. Let's go try to find out what that is without this filter of government, nonsense.
Well said. And I think just being able to question, and again, that the theme for today, the challenging ufology, to have that open, the openness to be able to hear opposing, thoughts and takes, which is, I think, why part of the reason why I did the debate idea, the great debate space, which I think was extremely successful. Everybody was respectful. Everybody brought their own takes. It was fun. It was lively. I think people could be educated on these topics, especially things in cases like Bob Lazar. And even in the comments, I'm looking at Whistling Mike and Missile Man. They're like setting up debates in the comments. Probes is ready for it. So look, we should encourage more of that. And I think Vetted, you wanted to be on the last one, just schedule didn't line up. But I think, having voices, people who are skeptical, a lot of people who I listen to too are skeptical about the topic, who have skeptical takes and are critical about the topic. But I also listen to people who are very pro. Somebody was mentioning Chris Bledsoe. I still pay attention to Chris Bledsoe. Doesn't mean I'm like a super fan supporter, but I'm also critical of a lot of the stuff as well. So, you can still go through this. I think you have to kind of, play the fence a little bit on a lot of this stuff, but also be open-minded that you're just not going to figure out the truth. Like you said, I'm here for the truth, but I don't think I'm ever going to find out, unfortunately, what the truth of it is.
Sure. Yeah, man. Yeah, well said. Yeah, I encourage all the debates they're talking about. And I don't know about all the comments, but yes, people should be. It's how you sharpen a knife, is with a rough edge. So, I'm for all that.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. Everybody in the comments, this has been awesome. Really appreciate all of the support, all of the comments. I'm going to do these more often, so I'll have some more guests on. I've got an interview space coming up. I'm going to be really just trying to ramp up the channel. So I've been picking Patrick's brain because this channel is awesome, and really appreciate your support, bro. And thanks for being here again.
Oh, bro, come on. Let's all support Astral, man. You're killing it on X. We're going to get your YouTube channel going, bro. Absolutely. Looking forward to your interviews, dude. I'm sure they're going to be sick.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you guys, everybody in the chat. Peace. We're going to set up this debate space. I'm already motivated to set up round 2 for it. So we'll get that going on. Check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting a lot more stuff. Going to be posting some of my spaces over here as well. So just repost, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, Patrick. Have a great peace, guys.
Peace.